Okay, so let's talk about Bitcoin and Mars stock. We are past the halfway point of October. In the second half of October, prices are looking super interesting and very, very exciting. So let's talk about Mars stock first, and then we'll jump over into Bitcoin. But on top of that, do remember that we do have some important stuff happening in this second half of October. So, coming up, right? Thursday, October 23rd, initial jobless claims. We know this is a big deal for when it comes to what comes, afterwards. I mean, we also have core CPI, some important data there. And then on top of that, it's going to be right here, October 29th, the FOMC interest rate decision. This is all coming up before next month. Now, I believe the current expectations are a 0.25 interest rate cut, but that does not influence whatsoever everything I'm going to be talking about in this video. But do remember, it's just my own opinion. Everything I say, just please do your own research and do due diligence. I just like to share with you guys what I'm doing. So if you guys remember that puts, the put contracts I bought with Mars stock with a 2050 strike, um, I closed it out for a slightly over 50% profit, and I only showed it on Discord, like I said I would. So if you guys are on Discord, you already saw that. But here's why I took that trade and why I closed out of it. This stock kept falling after I closed out, so I could have made more than just a little bit over 50%, but I'm very, very happy with that return. But here's why I sold, why I got in, right? So I kept telling you guys well ahead of time. I'm like, the further we stretch into this take profit area, which I'm gonna get into in a moment, I am more interested in shorting because it's very possible we can see strong fluctuations from here leading to lower prices and then a potential, fluctuation, so which I'll get into more in detail in a moment, into this next accumulation area. Now, I'm going to break this down real quick because remember, if you guys are new, basically what I've been covering for quite some time now is I like to use red as an accumulation opportunity and then value gaps and fib extensions as a take profit opportunity when it comes to Mars stock. So we had accumulation, take profit, accumulation, take profit. We had another accumulation opportunity, which a lot of people expressed their disapproval of that, saying it's absolutely insane. But then I kept backing up my analysis with until the uptrend is invalidated, which at that point when we were in this accumulation area, it was down here at this swing low. In my opinion, I kept saying that if we break below this swing low at basically 1345, then that will invalidate the uptrend, and we can actually be looking to close the gap down to even below $10. But that didn't happen. So I kept using and I kept expressing my opinion that this is a good accumulation area with two take profits. The first one just being an opportunity to shave in case you do have a strong pullback, which is this value gap. So there was an opportunity here to lock in some profit, but still leave some to run if we do have an opportunity to go up into this extension take profit area above $20. And it very, very well broke into the premium section of this zone. So as long as you guys weren't being too hopeful and you locked in profits here, for anyone that also, on your own decisions, accumulated down here, super nice profit. Hopefully you guys did that. But the moment we started going up higher and we were over $21, I was trying to look for a good opportunity to buy some puts for a pullback, and I did that and I showed it on my Discord, like I said. I think it was a solid trade, although I could have gotten a better strike. I could have gotten a $23 strike, but the 22.50 was really good, and I sold within this potential for a higher low opportunity. We still have a higher low forming, but I'm not here to be like greedy or hopeful on my trades. If I have a decent strike and the price starts coming down lower, my take profit was simple, right? This orange retracement area, which was acting as a potential support, which is from this swing low over to this swing high. I have a feeling if I was paying more attention to the bigger picture retracement, I could have probably locked in more than just 50%. But I'm still very happy with that return. But regardless, I used this as a take profit opportunity in case the price did want to hold a more significant higher low and potentially go up higher. But now that we broke below this support area, and I locked in profit, I'm just looking now. So I'm going to delete this so it's easier to look at the charts. But now what I'm looking for is an opportunity to short once again. So the way I'm going to do this, it's going to depend very heavily on what's going on in the macro, because there's a lot of headlines, a lot of crazy stuff happening in the news media is really influencing the market. So if you guys are on the Discord, I'm gonna keep you guys updated for sure if I take another short, because it's a lot faster for me to go on Discord and talk about it than it is to make a video. But basically what I'm looking for is to see if the price wants to, respect this first ascending support level, this line, because it's also mixing with the 120 moving average quite well. So if we see some momentum to close some value gaps, easier seen on like the 2-hour candles, I believe. But if we can go up into this area, I may be looking for opportunity to, hopefully, if I can get a 2150 strike, it'll be more attractive for me to want to short. And I'll do like no more than 10 contracts. I'll keep the position small because we're still holding this higher low. And in that case, it still has the possibility of maxing out this blue area. It absolutely can still do that. So if the price goes up and enters this area, I'll keep you guys updated if I do take a trade or not. Again, it's going to highly depend on what's going on in the macro, because that's going to influence me to maybe want to step back or actually jump into the trade, depending what the overall vibe is on headlines if we have this opportunity. But the overall idea is that because we broke the short-term support, momentum is downward, and we haven't been able to max out the RSI to the bottom side, which isn't a deal breaker. But what I'm looking for right now, what makes the most sense to me, is for us to make our way down into this next accumulation zone. Now, this accumulation zone, although it starts at 1868, I wouldn't really be too ahead and start accumulating right away. I'll be more interested in seeing if we can come down and actually go into the 15s, and we can even trade into the 14s because we do have some support here. There is some value down here when it comes to the support level. So really, in my opinion, is the moment we break below $16 is when this accumulation area becomes actually attractive. Because if you start accumulating early, I mean, in my opinion, there's just a good chance we can trade lower, and then it's better just to like let us do its thing and not rush into a trade, so we can see there's a potential for getting a much more attractive average cost basis. So I can see the price easily coming down to 16. There's gonna be some fluctuations in the way. The first fluctuation is the potential of this creating somewhat of a head and shoulders. I mean, it's a pretty basic textbook pattern, but a possibility of going up, holding a lower high, and then actually coming down and creating, start creating some lower lows as well. There'll be some fluctuations within this, but the overall idea right now, at least like real short term, is if we hold support, this ascending support line, we have an opportunity to fill this retracement and then actually break below the support. So that's kind of what I'm paying attention to, and I would like to short it at that time. I'm just gonna let the price do its thing and then see where we are at when it comes to the macro headlines. So yeah, I'm looking for lower prices. We already, this take profit zone did its thing. The idea why we're selling here is because there's a lot of pressure for the price to not really want to break over this, at least as of right now. So accumulation, take profit, it did its thing. So now it's important to be patient and understand that if we're overly optimistic when it comes to longs in the short term, we may be disappointed, right? Because if we topped out, within the take profit zone, the idea is that now we can come lower and potentially trade in the 14s and the 15s once again. But in the real short term, again, potential for a lower high to form right here. So I'm going to keep an eye on it, and I'm going to keep an eye on where the RSI is at when the price actually starts mixing around that like 2150 to basically 22 level. So this whole range, I want to see where the RSI is at at that time, to see if it's gonna actually make more sense for me to want to short or not. But if you guys are on the Discord, I'll keep you guys updated on that. So now with Bitcoin, here's the thing. You guys already know if you've been watching. I bought 50k worth of IBIT at the bottom of this retracement zone because that was my signal to begin accumulating. I'm not being aggressive with it. I can invest a whole lot more, and I plan to. But here's the thing, right? I kept saying, because we broke below the support level, rather than it was due to macro influence, due to headlines and um, a ton of articles that are really influencing the headlines that are really influencing the market. I wanted to start here. That's well below 120k. You guys already know how I feel about 120k. And you guys know how I feel about 0.5 retracements when it comes to the overall picture. So that's basically 99.5k. What I'm looking at right now to really want to accumulate more is to get closer to this level. If we can hit 100k or even break below 103k, I'll be more interested in adding more to this new Bitcoin swing trade, because the idea is that we are in very, very attractive prices below 120k, but now we're within this short-term deep value zone, and this is, in my opinion, mostly influenced due to external factors. Just a bunch of articles influencing fear in the market. We've seen this happen so many times last year and so many times this year, and I don't believe anything has changed. I still believe the bull market is alive. We just haven't broken any major support levels to really say that. And I mean, first major support level would be short-term deep value, which I like to use as purple. It comes all the way down to basically 93.6, so we'll say 93.5k. We're not even there. I would like to accumulate more at the 0.5 or below, so below 100k. Because once we do start to recover, it can recover super, super quickly. I don't use these deep value areas that often unless I'm like really interested in it. So like we had one over here where we filled it very nicely before pumping up. This one back here was red. My color coding wasn't really the best. But we just bounced off of it. In this case, since we did break into it, we can actually approach this 0.5 retracement a little bit more. Again, 99.5k, but I'm not gonna try to be perfect with it. The moment we hit 100k or break below it, like I'm accumulating, because the next target area, like I've been saying in a ton of videos, is, and I'm using this because I don't want to move this over. It's at 128k. I believe Bitcoin can go above 128k before the end of this year. I believe the bull market is still alive, but the next overall take profit zone for like core positions, there's like a strategy video. I explained a summary of my overall strategy. I think it was like 2.5 weeks or maybe 3 weeks ago or something like that. But the title is pretty easy to understand. Like I'm sure you guys can find it. But 128k next level for taking profit on some core positions, but then also I'm gonna use it as a potential zone. So anywhere between 128k and 136k as an opportunity to lock in profit when it comes to this new short-term swing trade I'm taking, which I don't expect to hold this swing trade after New Year's. This is a swing trade to take advantage of one more solid pump within this bull cycle. It's just right now there's a lot of fear in the market, but perfectly aligning with this short-term deep value area we've used a few times already this year, and we used one last year when there was a lot of like interest rate fear, and it was absolutely crazy. So we have FOMC coming up soon. We have CPI. We have jobless claims. All that's coming out soon. And I don't expect any of that to really get better. CPI, I have no idea. But I don't really expect jobless claims to get better. And in my opinion, I'm just expecting, but I'm not trading based off of my expectations that the FOMC will most likely be a 0.25. And they're just forced to cut rates. They're pretty much forced. The Fed or Reserve really wants to print more cash. It's just it is what it is. And asset inflation is a thing. So Bitcoin underneath 120K is absolutely attractive, especially since we still have like basically 2.5 months left of this year. Before I start being extra cautious with taking longs on Bitcoin next year. I want to conserve capital for the bear market because I really want to DCA that bear market aggressively. But regardless, that's my opinion on Mara and Bitcoin. We'll see if Mara gives us that shorting opportunity. I'll keep you guys updated on that. And if, because it is the weekend and there's a ton of crazy headlines going, I'm just sitting back and watching Bitcoin. I want to add more to that IBIT so I can have more than just 50K invested. But I want to see how this weekend unfolds. I want to see if Bitcoin has a little bit of a corrective rally upward because regardless, we have all this gap to fill and the 120 moving average is just right here. So we can have a corrective move, and I want to see how that is represented on the RSI and what structures we see within it. Because any pump from here could cause a lot of hype, which is why I'm very much focused on descending resistance, the 120 moving average, the RSI. Just a few things so I can not be surprised if it ends up being a fake out and then we actually come down later, or we just come down directly, it doesn't matter. But to come down and actually try to get closer to this 0.5 retracement, to have a really, really good opportunity to add more, even though right now it's a solid opportunity in my opinion. I mean, we're within the purple. It doesn't matter. I'll keep you guys updated on that, and hope you enjoyed. Take care.